Hello there, Maverick Currency traders. This is Rob Reinhold. It is Tuesday, November 19th. Let's jump into it. In this session, we're going to go through the news of the day. We're going to take a look at the equity markets, the commodity markets. Then we're going to take a look at our currency baskets, score them from +3 to -3, and then we're going to try to find a setup.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
All right, let's start off with the news of the day first, because we got a real risk-off session overnight. For the first time in the 1,000-day war, Ukraine used a U.S.-built missile to attack inside of Russia, which was a big escalation. And Russia actually rewrote some of their nuclear defense criteria based on what just happened. So again, it's a ratcheting up of tensions. Russia is now talking about using nukes. The market kind of freaked out overnight. The equity markets went down about 1% overnight. And then you can see that it just trailed off. All the tensions went right away, and we recovered in the U.S. session. So pretty much everything was kind of wiped away, but we did have this really serious spike in risk off overnight based on these Ukraine-Russia jitters. We also had Canadian CPI that came in above expectations. This was a surprise because everything we've seen out of Canada was falling inflation, falling interest rates. This is definitely going to put the Bank of Canada on a little bit of a pause. Now look, I know it's only one reading, but we were looking at the Bank of Canada being one of the most dovish central banks. We're going to have to rethink that with this number, and the market rethinking it as well. If we take a look at what actually happened in the world of Forex, I'm going to echo what Corey said yesterday in his end-of-day post, that there's not a lot of velocity. And you can see here, there's not a lot of velocity. Look, there's always movement in Forex, but that doesn't mean it's tradable. I mean, look at these numbers. Everything here is down 0.2% or up 0.2%. The best you could have done is like 0.4% if you got it perfect. Now look, this is just the change over the last 24 hours. I recognize that during the day, there was big movements. At one point, this yen was up about 0.7%. So there was movement. So 0.7% all the way down to -0.2. There was a big move in yen for sure. We also saw a little bit of that move in dollar as well. But again, these are all intraday moves. These are all range-bound moves. There is no trending moves happening at the moment, and that's what Corey said yesterday. He said, look, there's just not a lot of trending movement. There's always movement here and there, but there's no trends. And a lot of us at Maverick are trend traders, so the right thing to do is to stay out. Stay out when there's not a trend. Coming over here to the rest of the market, we saw the equity markets go up about 0.4%, the world market's up 0.2%. But remember, this is recovering off a 1% sell-off overnight. Crypto was down, but this is the crypto basket. Bitcoin was up, the rest of them were all down. And then gold had a nice little bounce back from its recent selling, but definitely closed off of its high. And then oil basically flat. And then we come over here to the cryptos, and you can see the Bitcoin was up. Bitcoin was strong pretty much all day long. The rest of the coins are weak. We started to see this at the end of last week, where everything else was weakening and Bitcoin was high basing while everything else was pulling back. So where does that leave us on our market outlook for equities? Well, I'm at a 1.5, but I do have to talk about the two candles we've had this week. Personally, the way we closed last week, on Friday, I actually said, I think we get a little bit more selling before we can get into a bounce. Well, the market rarely listens to my opinion. And you can see that Monday we held support and the 20-day moving average. And then you can see on Tuesday we held the support and closed higher. So here is what you have to do. Again, I'm using myself as an example. I was more bearish going into this week. I thought we were going to get more selling. I thought we were going to come down to this 50-day moving average because the NASDAQ has already broken it. I was wrong. This has all the technical makings of a bull pullback bounce. Again, I did not think there was going to be a bull pullback bounce. I am now given information that says, Rob, the information is it is a bull pullback bounce. Are you going to believe it, or are you going to hold to your previous bias? Now, as a younger trader, I usually held to my previous bias because I thought I was a smart guy, and I really liked how my brain worked. Now that I've been trading for so long, I'm going to dump that. This is a chart pattern of a bull pullback, period. So I'm going to have to change my mind to fit the actual data in my screen. This is bull pullback data. This says we should have another run at least up to highs, if not to a new swing high. That's just what this says. Again, we got the same thing back here. On this day, we had to admit everything we thought before this maybe was wrong, and you can see we ran up to a new high. Same thing here. So this is where it's very difficult as a young trader to look at the data that doesn't fit your bias or doesn't fit your belief of what was going to happen and throw away your belief and grab on to what's actually happening, which is the price action in front of us. So for me, I'm more bullish today than I was 2 days ago because the market has shown me that it wants to be more bullish than bearish. All right, let's take a look and see what we have on the schedule coming up. Boy, the only thing I see is CPI out of the UK. UK CPI at 2 a.m. overnight. So if you are trading the pound, then I think you've got to be aware of that. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot out there on the news event. So let's go and take a look at a couple of currencies. Let's try to find something that's actually moving because I would like to at least go through a setup. A lot of times I don't go through all of these in these daily videos, but I'm going to go through all of them real quick here. And again, all I'm looking for is something that has momentum. So again, I'm on a 4-hour chart. I'm going to click over here to the yen. Does the yen have any momentum? Well, we had this spike overnight, another one here. It's moving, but there's no trend. There's no trend. So for me, it would be like, hey, I need to be a buyer down at the low, seller at the high. That's not how I trade. I don't really love to trade like that. We go to dollar. Okay, dollar is fading, but fading off of a big rally. So it's fading, but again, I'm looking for something that is in some sort of trend. We see euro is just going sideways, not interested here. Swiss franc trending up a little bit. Again, this is where we want to trade. You see this here? This is a tradable market. This is not. This is a very frustrating market with these long upper shadows and lower shadows getting stopped out on many of these dumb moves. No thanks. I'd rather just sit out. The pound. Is the pound trending? It's trending lower. It's probably the best looking one that actually has a current trend in play. It had a little bounce up. So, okay, pound to me is potentially playable. Let's check on this CAD with this great news today. Can we really say that it's turning here? Okay, we do have some signals here. So for me, CAD is potentially as well. We had a run. We pulled back. We found some support. We broke above our SAR. We got an EMA turning up. We got RSI. So again, that one looks good. Aussie, I think you can say overall it's pretty range bound, but it definitely is moving to the upside. Kiwi, pretty much the same thing, but just not quite as strong. It's mostly range bound. You can see it's mostly range bound. I'm going to go to Bitcoin because I do think Bitcoin is the only interesting crypto at the moment. And you can see it's high based. It's high base, and it is not just high basing, but it's ascending triangle, meaning that the lows are getting higher and we're now pinching on the top of this. We'll take a look at Bitcoin as well. So here is everything stacked up. Remember, we are not interested in anything between -1 and +1. So this gives us just a few plays. We've got pound CAD and we've got Bitcoin long. That's it. Ethereum we can't short. So Bitcoin long and pound CAD on the short side. So those are going to be the plays we focus on here for the next 24 hours. Since I've got Bitcoin up, let's just stick with it here. Just a really nice pattern. The big question I have here on Bitcoin is, okay, we just had this big monster run from 67,000 up to 93,000. Can we go higher? The answer is yes. Of course we can. We can absolutely go higher. Okay, but how much higher? Where do we go to? 96,000, 100,000. We're now starting getting into this area where, again, even if we were to run 7,000 points, that's a 7% move. That's a big move. But as you get higher in price, the percentages start to look a little bit bigger. I think you can buy it. I would much rather buy it on pullbacks and then be in it for a potential breakout to 95,000, 96,000, 97. I don't think I'd be chasing breakouts here because I think we're going to get a lot of these upper shadows here. So I would much more likely be a buyer down here at 91.5 and then use this parabolic SAR if we break it. Say, you know what, that's my stop. Trying to get it down here at the bottom of this ascending triangle pattern. Somewhere, again, around this 91,400, 500. That's where I'd rather start to accumulate it instead of trying to buy breakouts. I just think we're going to get lots of wicks here that could be a little bit frustrating. Let's go to the other one, pound CAD. All right, let's go to daily chart first. All right, pound CAD is sure looking good here. It's a big turn. I mean, you can see here, it was a clear uptrend for a long time. We have now pretty much failed and we're breaking down. I do like this trade. There is going to be some support in this 177 area where we are right here. So how do we play this again? If you want to get in it, get in with a third of a position, half a position, and then if it bounces up, because it could absolutely bounce higher. It could absolutely take a bounce, maybe all the way up to this 178 area. 178 would be a reasonable point for it to bounce up to. That's where you can either take your position there, or you could take a little bit here, and then if it does bounce up, take a little bit more. Again, this one does look like it does want to weaken, but we are at a pretty crucial support point here. Typically, I wait for bases or bounces, and I don't usually get into them here. And again, I don't love this here because, again, long lower shadows are going to get us in, and then we got to wait. I'd much rather get in short up here at 177.75 as it bounces up and it starts to turn back over. I think that's going to be a much easier trade to be in than trying to get down here off of this breakdown. So let it have a little bounce or a base and then short it. But as far as right here right now, I think it's a little bit late. Wrapping this up, this isn't a great trading market. It's just not. And we just have to admit that to ourselves sometimes as traders. Sometimes it's a great market, sometimes it's not. During these kind of markets, I always look to make less trades than more. I always try to find reasons not to make trades. Everything lacks velocity right now. Could you go out and make a trade on pound CAD short? Sure you could. You could. Is it a great setup? Is this something you've been waiting for and you've been planning it all out and you think there's a major trend happening? No, it's just a trade you're probably making out of boredom. If you are going to make it, okay, you know what? Make it, do a half position size. I don't know. I mean, the point is, these are the moments where you should be trading less, finding reasons not to trade. And if you just can't control yourself, do half position sizes and then add on to them if they really start to work your way. The whole point is, during these times, trade less, put less capital on the line, and then when it gets better, then you trade more and put more capital on the line. That's a great way to survive in this business. So hopefully we get a little bit of volatility coming back, but going into a holiday week, I think it's probably not going to happen for the rest of this week and next week. So we'll cover that here in the next couple of days. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.